Come on. And
Morning, everybody.
morning. Yeah. Connecting to audio.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Grant, is that you?
Yeah, Dennis.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I hope everyone survived the weekend and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, just take me a second here. So today is going to be a little bit different. Hopefully it is too much, I guess is what I'll say. So that way you can get all the stuff when you need it, hopefully. What I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to walk you through kind of, it really boils down to, I guess, my evolution on understanding how to use live streaming in your business. So we've been working on this for a while. Some of you have participated, since we started doing this last fall. We had our Shop Rural Day, and we had our, kind of Pop Shop Live thing that we were doing. So today what I want to do is I'm going to introduce you to the concept of multi-stream live streaming beyond just a particular platform. So we're going to talk about that. For some of you who are newer, I'm going to give you some examples, really short examples that we've used. Some of you have seen with successful programs from particularly from China, I think will be helpful. So I'm going to start off with that, and then we're going to try a few different things here. So hopefully this will work. And okay, so let's try that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you just a few examples of some pretty basic live streaming that we've seen from China. So the first one is this is an individual farmer in the middle of nowhere, China, and he well, we'll watch this and then we'll talk. It's really short. Can everybody see that? No. Okay, hold on a second here. Try this again. Sorry about that. I forgot you have to kind of do that twice. Okay, so this might be a little bumpy. Sorry. Okay, now you can see it.
这是苹果嘛，已经是树上熟了，但是现在像这种果子是不能邮寄的，树上熟的是不可以邮寄的。太甜了。
Okay, so this guy is an individual farmer who grows mangoes in China. They asked him after this video how he liked live streaming. And he said that prior to doing this live streaming, he used to ride around his village on a bicycle. And now he rides around in a 7 Series BMW. And the thing about this guy is he literally just goes out to his orchard and starts, eating the mango and showing it to you. And then people can buy it directly from him on the live stream. So let me show, we have another one here, also similarly short that I think you all will like. Some of you have seen. So I'm going to go through this sharing thing again. Sorry, it's a little bit clunky. Let's do it this way. Okay. This one, I literally cannot believe this one. This is insane. Okay, so this guy literally jumps in the water, catches a lobster, holds it up in the air, and sells the lobster live streaming from his friends in the boat that you hear screaming in the background. So it's pretty wild. Okay, I got one more short one to show you. Let's see here. Let's see. I wanted to give you a sense of kind of a little bit about behind the scenes so you get some sense of what's involved. And we're going to go into more depth on this, but I wanted you to see. So this is a behind the scenes look at a particular live stream that was done last fall. And I think you'll find it interesting.
This is the behind the scenes look at live stream for Diane von Furstenberg brand at Singles Day on 11/11 in China. Pretty simple setup for over 1 million people watching this particular live stream. Pretty interesting.
So what I find interesting about that particular one is they basically just have a smartphone and a light, and they've got it set up in a retail store, and they had well over 1 million people watching that particular event. Now, I don't want to get into all of how do you get 1 million people to your stream. That's a separate discussion, but I just want to give you a sense that this is not the hardest thing you've ever done. Okay, that's really the point I'm trying to make. If you have a smartphone, you're pretty much ready to go, believe it or not. There are some other things that we need to talk about. So what we're going to talk about here, we're going to spend just a few minutes on at least what one organization thinks you should have from a gear perspective. So we'll just kind of go through this. And this document is available to all of you. I'll post it so that you can, it's a PDF. So basically what these people are advocating, and this is a company called Switcher Studio, which we were introduced to when we saw the Ray's decorated cakes. There's a couple companies in this space. We're going to look at 2 of them today, but just to kind of look through this, smartphone cameras are perfect. Like I just said, this particular one only works on iOS, but there are other ones that work on Android. But I would say iOS seems to be the favorite, and I think a lot of it has to do with how it does live streaming, is my understanding technically, but I won't get into too much detail. So in this case, they have some specific recommendations. My guess is they're getting a commission for this stuff, but it doesn't really matter. You can just get the point. You can find this stuff pretty easily. A small tripod rather, and a ring light, which actually, by the way, I forgot to turn mine on. I use a ring light. I don't know if you can see the difference, but ring lights are pretty cool. You can get them on Amazon really easily. And in this particular case, the phone fits in the ring light, which mine has that attachment also. I don't ever use that for a bunch of reasons. I don't use my smartphone for these classes, but that's a pretty common thing. And the advantage of that, frankly, is your eyes will be looking at the customer, right? And if you're looking there, you got to have a focal point, and it might as well be in the best lighting possible. So that's the thinking behind that. Microphone, you know, I'm no expert on all this stuff. There's probably some people in this class who know more than I do, but lavalier microphones are the kind that you see people have like attached to their collar or their shirt, kind of inobtrusive, and there's a variety of ways you can connect that to your phone. I won't get into all that detail. There are also other types of microphones, and this article kind of goes through them all. And these, keep in mind, these are all oriented toward connecting with your smartphone. This is not about optimum, music home studio, any of that kind of stuff. This is about using your phone or iPad to do a live stream. And this is just some things that these people, like I said, I think they're probably getting commission on all this stuff, but that, again, it doesn't matter. The next thing is your internet. Generally speaking, people recommend that you use an Ethernet network rather than a Wi-Fi, depending on your house and depending, or your business, whatever. It's really a question of quality. How good, how robust is the signal? If the Wi-Fi is good, then no problem at all. Sometimes people have problems with Wi-Fi, so you can use what do you call it? Corded or plugged in Ethernet network rather than a Wi-Fi. But all this stuff is on here. The other thing that they get into, and this gets a little bit, there's a lot to talk about here, so I'm not going to go into heavy detail, but your team that gives the show, whether it's you individually, or you could even conceivably have a guest, right? It could be a big customer, it could be an intern, it could be anybody. But a lot of the you'll hear the word a lot, influencer marketing. And the idea with that is if for example, I'm going to make this up. Let's say you're selling chicken, okay? And you were to go onto Instagram and figure out who is big in chicken, right? Who talks about chicken or takes pictures of chicken. You could conceivably find an influencer on Instagram that could potentially do a live stream with you or for you on some kind of basis. It could be you offer them free chicken. It could be, some other kind of business deal, but there's a variety of ways to kind of deal with that. But one of the things that you have with a co-host, models, people you're interviewing, all that kind of stuff, it brings more energy to the broadcast. Sometimes if you're just sitting there looking at the camera and you feel like, hey, I got a face for radio, why am I doing this? Sometimes having that dynamic, that chemistry between you and someone else, and it doesn't have to be, it could be anybody. It could have your dog up there, right? And people love that kind of stuff. You could have your dog or your chicken or your cow, whatever, and have some fun. It doesn't have to be a heavy duty thing, but it can be done by yourself. I don't want to indicate that it can't be. Again, I'm going to provide this document for you, but your setup is important. Whether it's a table or you're standing, the whole idea of a set, like lots of times you look at me on Zoom, I'll have some kind of fancy background. That's almost always just a picture that I found somewhere, right? And I make it my background. And there are lots of ways to do that. You can do it in Zoom, happens to have that built in, but you can do it with other methods. You can even have your own background, like your own backyard or whatever. But the idea of a table or a desk, depending on your product, makes a lot of sense. You can display stuff there. It can be kind of like I'm going to call it an altar. Please don't get mad at me, religious people, but an altar type thing that shows your different products or different ideas of using your product. So there's a lot to be said for that. One of the big things with background that you can't forget, and that is just make sure the background doesn't make you almost invisible. If the background is too light or it has too much stuff going on, you can just disappear and they literally won't see you in the background. So that's something to keep in mind. Make sure there's contrast between what's being videoed and what the background is. That's a really important thing. The other thing about lighting that I'm going to talk about, and this really only depends, some of you may have product, let's say you're selling clothes, for example, or you're selling certain things where color is really critical, right? Where people, they want to buy that color item. Keep in mind that sometimes the color on the video is not the same as it will be when they open up the package. So just be aware of that. And it's something you can say to people, hey, this looks a little more blue than it is in real life. And there's not a lot you can do with that. You can have good lighting and that will help a lot. But sometimes a smartphone doesn't have the smarts to color correct 100% accurately. So that's just something to kind of remember. It isn't all necessarily going to look in their hands exactly like it looks on the screen. Minor thing, but it is something to be aware of. And I think if you watch any live streams, you'll see people will say, hey, this looks a little darker on here. It's actually a little bit lighter, kind of prep the customer for that kind of experience. So the last thing for this part today, this idea of 3-point lighting, without getting too crazy, 3-point lighting is kind of an industry standard for this kind of thing. And you can see an example here. You have a key light, which is your primary light, and that can be a ring light, doesn't have to be this type of one featured here. A fill light and something on your hair or background. It just makes you a little more 3D, a little more standing out. Like when I just look at you guys, like look on the screen, like looking at Kime, for example, I can see Kime's face really clearly. I can see his background clearly. I don't know what kind of lighting he has, but you can see it really easily. And usually on mine, you can see, I'm sometimes overexposed because I'm in a pretty dark room. But anyway, that's the point of the lighting shouldn't be ignored. It is a touchy little thing. In many cases, by facing out a window, you'll solve a lot of your problems. If you're facing out a window, you're going to have light coming in on your face, assuming it's not right in the bright sunlight. That's a really good place to start. And then you can use these other lights to kind of fill in, if you will. So hopefully that makes sense there. So let's, any reactions or questions at this point to that?
This is Ruth, and I'm sorry I'm driving, so it may be noisy, but what experience have people had with doing various backgrounds for their show?
But let me answer that first, and then others please jump in. So this is something I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, so I'll give you my 2 cents. So when you're using Zoom or some apps, they actually have a function where you can put in a background just by clicking a little box and adding a photo from your camera roll, for example. So that's what I do. I have a bunch of pictures that I personally find appealing, and I'll just kind of put them up there. And I know Branson's going to have a lot more to say about this. This will be my last comment. The idea of using a green screen is also something that may make sense. And I'm pretty sure Branson knows a lot more about this, but the idea is you actually have a screen behind you that enables you to project different kinds of backgrounds so that it appears, and this is really common in TV, for example, you'll see somebody, looks like they're in the mountains or whatever, and that's really not there. It's really a projection. Branson, you wanna touch on this a little bit?
Yeah. Your green screen, you can use a green screen or a blue screen. If you're someone like Kime who's sitting and doing it, you can even buy a piece that goes over the back of your chair that will block out, just your top area that's going to be seen, and then it'll give you a very good green screen. But Zoom does have a good thing. You go into the settings and you can load up the different backgrounds that you want to use that way. I have numerous ones for different podcasts that I use, and that way sometimes even with them I can advertise products or different things over top of me, or even websites to get people to pay attention. So if anyone needs any backgrounds, just contact me. I can help make them for you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Ruth?
So I had another question. So what kind of background do you have behind you right now? That's really pretty cool.
That's just so if you Google Zoom backgrounds, you'll get a gazillion of alternatives that you can just click and save on your computer or phone, and they're free and you can use them. So this is just a particular background I thought looked cool that I found somewhere, and I made it my background. So
I'm sorry, I meant Branson's. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Zoom ones
Okay.
that you can do. Yeah, but
Sorry.
you look like it was customized with your logo. And
Yes.
I was asking how you did that because I would like to do that as well. Thank you.
I did that with Photoshop, and basically took my logo. I use Photoshop a lot, Photoshop and a Final Cut, because you can even do them and make them so they're video, so they can move and that way you can have a ticker. And also, you can make the lower thirds. So if you use OBS, also you can use OBS as basically the video engine, and have the zoom as your main video thing, and then overlay it within OBS also.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that because that's a really important point. And you know, OBS. One of the issues that I run into is just the bandwidth and time to get up to speed and all these various things. So what I find is I tend to pick a couple of things and kind of go with it, even though I'm sure someone smarter than me could make it much slicker and much further along. But Branson's really good at this kind of stuff. You all have his contact information. You can get some help from him, or you know, and I'll be sharing kind of my thinking or my ideas. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to see two segments. So there is a company called StreamYard, which you all can check out. And the concept behind StreamYard, much like Switcher Studio that we looked at last week, is it's a multi-stream platform. In other words, their stuff allows you to stream the same content to multiple locations. So, you know, when we talk about Pop Shop Live, you are just going live on Pop Shop Live. That's it, nowhere else. And that's fine, but you're going to hear a little bit of an alternative here where that promotes the idea of you building your own audience, and at the same time, streaming to several places so that you can in fact find your audience, which is kind of a interesting approach. Sometimes we say, okay, I'm going to go on YouTube, or I'm going to go on Pop Shop, or I'm going to do this or that. That may be a good or bad idea. It really depends on your product and where your customers find you. So we're going to watch a couple of, they're basically interviews of people, small business people who have, I think, done a pretty good job of figuring this out, and hopefully this will be helpful. So let me share my screen. Okay. And again, all of this stuff will be available also to watch the whole thing if you like.
Joining us at this month's StreamYard Industry Showcase. I'm excited to be talking about the importance of niche in live selling in our segment today. I will be joined by very special guest Cynthia Smith, also known as Sindal. Growing up in Detroit, Michigan, Sindal stood out with her passion.
I do want to just take 1 second here just to point out something. Did you see how easily the co-host came into, or the guest came into the broadcast? It's just literally a matter of checking a box, and that person's video came up and allowed them to be part of your stream. So I just want to point that out. That seems really easy and simple. It actually is a little bit difficult. It is possible on Pop Shop to bring someone else in. I know they have that capability, but I just wanted to point out that's a really great way to liven up your live stream with what could be a guest. It could be someone you interview. It could be a partner. It's really a really good example here.
For life, personality, and most importantly, her form of self-expression. If you ask anyone about her, they would say she has a really strong personality. Sin calls it passion. She views it as an expression of life in a tangible form. Hair was the first art form she fell in love with, and she went all in. Enthusiastically, she easily became the go-to person in her town. It didn't take long. She relished the opportunity to service all of her colleagues and their family while producing extraordinary results at a very young age, 18 to be exact. This was the beginning of a long-term desire to not only service clients, but to become a master stylist, and she did just that. After 13 years in the hair industry, Sin accomplished all her goals in the industry except one: freedom. Sin needed to express herself in all forms, living in her true passion, which is teaching. As of today, Sin Smith is a master cosmetologist, herbalist, life and business coach, blogger, YouTuber, and the list goes on. Sovereignty is the name of the game, and control over one's life is the key. Sin lives out loud, inspiring you to find your own light while becoming the best version of yourself. Let's jump right in. Hi, Sin.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm so excited to talk to you today because you have such a an awesome story to tell. You have amazing experience, and what you do on with your channel online and your niche is really exciting. I think you have a lot to offer our audience today. So thanks again for being here.
I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really excited to share how you can expand, because most people are stuck in a box. So I'm really passionate about helping people get out of a box.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with, how did you find StreamYard?
Oh, that's actually a funny story, because I started doing streaming, and at first I was using another streaming service that I won't say, and even though it was okay, I am used to working with my hands, right, doing hair, and talking is not really my thing because I'm an introvert. So when it came to like selling on Amazon or just doing live broadcasts in general, I needed some type of platform where I could prepare the content ahead of time and then just play it, so I don't have to, talk live.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I think I was on YouTube searching, and StreamYard popped up. And I remember I went live for the first time with my old clips, like a bunch of older clips that I had promoting certain hair products. And it was so easy. I was just able to take all of these 60-second clips that I had from Instagram and repurpose them and sell products. It was so easy. And I fell in love.
That is. So is that what you mostly utilize StreamYard for now, or do you do use it mostly for pre-recorded live videos, or do you also come on and speak live in the moment too?
At the beginning, it was just for pre-recorded lives, but then once I got on Amazon, then things changed a little bit, and I was able to mix it up and do live content where I would mainly do like the intro on there, kind of sort of, and then I would be able to have all of my other video content, which made it a lot easier for me because I do so many other things. So StreamYard makes it so it's almost on autopilot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the ease of use is really, that's what I love about StreamYard so much. It's just so easy to navigate.
Yes.
So do you use any other tools for live streaming beyond StreamYard? I know you mentioned Amazon, so you're an Amazon live seller, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was using Zoom for a second. But recently I've switched over because the only reason I was still using it was for my one-on-one coaching. But recently I found a way, well, I'm not going to say found a way, I found the time to sit down and make a full course template. For example, I will go on Canva, and for the most part, they would have a form that they would fill out before the appointment, so I can have as much information as possible. And then I could go on Canva, make a template for them, so I just look so professional,
Yeah. Do you use Canva for your live stream, like graphic design as well, like overlays and stuff like that?
Oh my God, yeah, that's the only thing I use is Canva. It's like perfect.
That is perfect. Okay, so I want to jump into more about your content. So you are really focused on hair products, and you have such a broad and extensive hair expertise. You've really become a subject matter expert. So how did you come up with that idea to like have hair be your online niche, if you will?
Well, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, right? So most of the time when you see somebody that does hair, all you know is like hairstylist, but you have a hairstylist that is only licensed to do hair, and then you have a cosmetologist that's licensed to do everything from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. So I fell in love with the science of hair, right? And mainly in my niche, most women are really confused, regardless of race, really confused on what products to use, because people think that hair products are like one size fits all, and it's not. We have different levels of porosity, density. I won't turn into a nerd on you, but it just made it easier for me to be able to present the science to people, because people have a really short attention span, right?
Mhm.
Is it 5 or 8 seconds? So StreamYard makes it so I can just put in their face the exact information that they want. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to watch. So my niche, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's all about hair products, but hair science and teaching people a routine and a pattern that they can follow through life. And then StreamYard helps, with Amazon, because with Amazon Live, then I can give them the tools that they need to apply the things that I teach them. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you said about the attention span, right? That's so hard to keep people's attention.
Yes.
But StreamYard does make it a little easier because there's a lot of visual dynamic elements that you can
Yes.
utilize, the banners and the graphics and logos and all of that.
And I don't mean it disrespectful to anyone, but a lot of times we, in our mind, even if we're like in our 50s or in our 60s, we still need like lights and glitter and sparkle. So
Right.
StreamYard makes it easy for me to customize things based on what audience I'm speaking to on a specific platform.
Sure. So then, Sin, in terms of content planning, right, for your channel, what is your main strategy for creating that content?
So that's changed a little bit over the years.
Okay.
Now I'm at a place of just doing what feels good in a moment with it making sense to my niche, because the word niche is something that I used to love, but in reality it's something that's very, very, very crippling.
Sure.
Because you get stuck in that. And I mean, we can talk about that later, but that's something that you get stuck in. So now it's mainly just putting all of the pieces to our everyday life together. So not just my hair, but also like home care and stuff like that, different things that I can do to incorporate every aspect of my life. So I don't have to just pick Sin, the hairstylist. I can need Sin, the mother, Sin, the herbalist, just different aspects.
That's very interesting. So I'm curious, when you first started out and you were creating your content on your channel, was your strategy different in terms of creating and planning out your content?
Oh, absolutely. That's such
Tell
a
us
good
more about
question.
that.
And I'm embarrassed to answer it because there was no strategy at the beginning. At the beginning, it just kind of happened. I was a cosmetologist by trade, and that's it. And then I think Instagram was the only thing that was out, and I would record like 60-second clips. And one day I just put my camera up and then I recorded the entire service, start uploading to YouTube. And then I remember maybe like 6 months into, I was like, I can make $1,000 just uploading videos. So it kind of happened by mistake. And then once I hit 100K, I got tired. That's why I said picking a niche is like one of the worst things you can do, because I got tired of creating that type of content and I wanted to do something different, but I was stuck creating that type of content. So a program like, StreamYard makes it so I could break up the pieces of my content, because at the beginning there was no strategy. I had to kind of make up one as I went along.
So, okay, I'm so intrigued. It sounds like when you first started out, right, the niche, having that expertise and creating the very specific type of content really helped you grow your channel far and fast.
Yes.
But then you mentioned, okay, you got to 100K, you've been creating all this content, it's all very specific, and you got tired. Yes. So that's such an interesting thing to talk about, because the niche was so important for you in the beginning, right?
Yes.
But then you got to a point where you wanted to break out of that. So talk to us about that point where you were feeling tired. You were like, I'm not sure, I feel like I'm in this box. How did you break out of that or move beyond that in terms of your content and your channel?
Oh man. Well, with that, I'm sure you guys know all about the algorithm, right? So whenever I really, really got tired, I want to say views were at like, and this is YouTube I'm talking about, views were like maybe the first I'll say 72 hours I would have a video up and it will have at least like a minimum of 70K, right? But then if I went to do a video, let's say of me cleaning my brushes or cleaning my tools, people were like, girl, no. And at least that's what I thought. But it was actually the algorithm, because there's a computer operating everything now. But at that time, I had just completely like, I'm done doing hair. And so I had to actually diversify my platform. So before I was only on YouTube, that was it. But then I had to get on my website, on Instagram, on like just every piece of content, because in reality, Google owns a lot of the.
Just to take a second here, what she's basically saying is that I think she started on YouTube and she found a lot of limitations as time went on in terms of how the algorithm affected her content. A lot of it she didn't even understand or was aware of. So this idea of multi-streaming or streaming to multiple locations solves that problem in a lot of ways, because you'll be able to see for yourself where the engagement is coming from, or the sales, or whatever that you're measuring. So I think that's important.
Platforms that we use. So I dove deep into like learning Google Analytics and just learning how all of these platforms work in conjunction with Google and search engines, and really understanding that when it comes to selling, when it comes to views, building, it has nothing to do with me. Like I could look at something and be like, this is good, this is great, I'm smart, and this looks good. But people are like, no, I don't care. That's not what I'm searching for. So I had to learn how to put myself in the position of my consumer or of the people that were watching me, and just completely take everything else that I had before out of my mind, because we get in the mentality of like, we have to do this one thing forever. Right. But I ended up just spreading myself really like amongst every platform that resonated with me. It was hard though.
Yeah, it sounds hard. So did you like in that process where you were creating different types of videos and noticing that, you know, your views were lower, your interactions were lower, did you just sort of, along with your research, just keep making different content and keep posting it? Like, did you just power through, or how did you deal with all of that?
Well, and I'm going to be really honest. Initially, at first it was kind of sort of heartbreaking, because it's a really big jump. Like, just imagine, especially with analytics and AdSense and the way that it works, to go from like 50,000-60,000 views in 72 hours to a video getting 2,000 views in 2 months. But it was at the beginning, when I felt like it was only happening to me, it was a little hard, but I just kept producing the type of content that I wanted, because what ends up happening, you have to retrain the algorithm, because you're literally dealing with a computer.
Right.
So I had to retrain the algorithm and get a brand new audience, which is really hard when you've already worked to get, I want to say it was like, I was at like 150,000 subscribers when I switched everything over. So diversifying my content, it was hard at the beginning, but just for me, because in your mind, you're so focused on vanity metrics, like how many people are watching, how many people are seeing this, where in reality, at the very beginning, the majority of the people that were watching, they were just watching. They weren't really active.
Sure.
You know, so over time, I learned how to just keep putting all of my eggs in different baskets, because as a cosmetologist, it was in one basket, just YouTube and just doing hair.
This is so inspiring what you're saying, because I think for a lot of content creators, right, we all hear it's really important to have a niche, right? Like, choose your thing. So people are like, okay, great, I have something I'm interested in. Like with you, it was hair and cosmetology. You do that, you know, it grows really big, and then you get tired. I mean, I experienced that. I had a live stream that was, you know, a much lower stakes, but it was specific on acting and the performance industry, because that's what I love. And I was doing a very specific sort of interview style show for a few months, and then I got burnt out.
Yes.
And it was really hard for me to think about, like, okay, where do I go from here? Like, how do I, I've built a following for this specific, content. And so for me, I let it go. And I think that that's sad for a lot of content creators who get to that point, get tired, don't want to keep creating that niche. But then you're saying, you just kept at it. You were like, no, I am a content creator. I'm just going to change the type of content. And I'm not going to give up. And so
because
you just did that.
I think that even just the fact that I'm having a conversation with you right now is such a great example of that, because you guys found me after my views declined. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time you're just so focused on like views and vanity metrics and how many followers and subscribers you have. I'll try to not say this person's name, but he's a really big person on YouTube. And I remember recently he made it to 1 million subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with the analytics and the way things are going, sometimes I have more views than him. He has a video that's been up for like 2 weeks and it has like 5,000 views with 1 million subscribers.
Right.
So that's why I feel like something like StreamYard, and StreamYard's not paying me to say this, but I just feel like something like StreamYard is so amazing, because if you have, because I have 2 children and a husband. So if you have a life, it's so easy. It makes it so easy for you to take one piece of content, and with StreamYard, I can put it everywhere at one time with one click.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. StreamYard really allows you to get the broadest reach with the least amount of effort.
Without picking a niche. If there's nothing else that anybody says, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, if I could do everything all over again from the beginning, the one thing that I would do is not have a niche. At the same time that I was making hair videos, I would have been doing vlogs and all of these different things, because when you think about it, it's almost even worse than being stuck in a regular 9-to-5 job, because you're stuck in your own mind with your own creativity and you can't do anything outside of that.
So you're saying, like, take what you're passionate about and broaden that concept. So broaden it to not just, hairstyling vids, but also, more science-based vids, more, the brush cleaning that you mentioned, more.
I tell all of my students to, whenever you are coming up with not even your niche, but what your channel is going to be about, your platform, I tell them to get a list, just to get a notebook and write down all of the things in life that they love, not just things that make them money, but the things in life that they love, and then figure out how they can make all of these things match together to come up with a business content. Because one day you wake up and you may want to do podcasting, but another day you wake up and you may want to make waffles, and you may want to record it. So if you were to just start off and say, hey, I'm Sendal, just Sendal, not Sendal the cosmetologist, then people won't connect that in their mind to you.
Right. Oh, that is so we are changing the definition of a niche right now.
Please.
Come at it. The niche is not just one thing. It's everything that makes you as a content creator light up.
Yes.
Ooh, I have chills from that. I think
because if you think about it, content creator creating content around you and everything that makes you, because at the end of the day, you're the person you're the only one with these fingerprints. So let's see what all your fingerprints are about.
Right. Oh my gosh. This has been such an awesome session. Unfortunately, we reached the end of our time. You and I feel like, Sin, we could keep talking for hours. Probably.
Okay, so they're happy with each other, that's for sure. But there's a lot of good learnings there, and to the point that we're talking about, it may not be exactly what you think it will be, but it's really about you and your brand, and your brand actually could appeal more than one place. So I have one more thing for today, because we're going to get more into it tomorrow, but I want you to, this is really taking it a little bit far, but so this woman was just saying, be yourself. It's your fingerprints, let your freak flag fly is the way I look at it. So we're going to see a quick example, and many of you know how much I like these insane people that do this this hemp show out in North Carolina, outside of Asheville. But there's a couple of things. We're not going to watch much of this. We're going to watch a few minutes, but a couple of things I want to share about this in advance. And this is Appalachian Standard. I know you all have seen this. This particular one is truly insane. But the thing I really like about it, first of all, just to set the stage, these people go live on every platform you can imagine all at the same time, right? They just go live. And I don't know if they're using StreamYard or anything like that, or they just have 10 phones in front of them. I really don't know. It's really impossible to say, because the ins and outs of technically what they do is not really very sophisticated. The other thing that I want to point out before we take a look at this, and we can talk about it afterwards also, is number one, I want you to get a sense of how real and how transparent these people are, however crazy from my perspective, but I want you to just get a sense of that. And the second thing is they absolutely are completely unconcerned with technically making their sales. And what I mean by that is for those of you who have used Pop Shop Live, one of the features of Pop Shop Live is the customer can buy directly during the live stream directly from your show. Okay. And that's kind of cool. They don't have to go anywhere else. They can just click and buy from that particular show. When you start getting into multi-streaming and you're going all different places, that is somewhat technically difficult to have that all be where they buy it directly from the stream. So I'm just going to point out that these people do not even bother with any of that. They literally just give you the URL for their website, no matter what platform you're watching them. And if you want to buy something, you got to go to that website. So I just want to make that point. So let's take a quick look at this insanity that these people do. I do want to make a point. Notice that here, because they're using this multi-streaming, they have a starting soon. So if you go to wherever you're going to watch this show, you're going to see this, right? And you can see it says it's going to start soon. It has comments going down the right side, and it tells you where to order, right? And they got music playing in the background. This is on all of the channels. So you know that the show is about to start soon. It'll just be a few more seconds. Again, just to kind of highlight, they are still getting ready for their live stream. The mother is literally spraying hairspray on her big hair. She does a few other little adjustments in real time, and they're just who they are. They just do the way they do it. So I just think it's hysterical.
Testing 1, 2, 3. How's the audio sounding for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch? Mama, you look so good.
You look so good too.
I don't want any Aquanet.
You don't need any Aquanet? You're not going for the 1980s
I
prom?
love the 1980s prom look.
I'm going for,
I think it's hot as hell.
I'm going for Neil Helson big hair.
I like it.
I went to school with Neil Helson. Everybody wanted to be him or they wanted to sleep with him. All the boys and the girls.
Love it. Hell yeah.
Neil Helson.
What is up, Shelby? What's up, Dawn? What's up, Savannah? Hi, Crystal. What's up, Gina?
We have so many.
Show us the comfy shoes. I'm actually barefoot right now. Hi, I'm looking at you guys for the first time. Hello, hey. Welcome, Cody. What's up, Claire?
What's up, Megan?
Hey, welcome to the prom.
Appalachian Standard prom.
Anything goes. Prom. We got our prom court. You guys sent in your pictures. I'm so excited. Hello, Savannah. It is raining on the farm, like on the greenhouse roof. So if you guys hear
our hair, we got our hairs did for prom, and look at it now.
Hello. Hi, hello, hello. What's up, Mix and Maid? Hi, KC Doll. I remembered, yes, first time I made a live. Hi, Mama K, hippie babe. What is up, Elizabeth? In my favorite time of the night, favorite spelled with a U. I love it. You have class, baby. Look at that. Oh my goodness, y'all look so cute.
Gosh, look at all your jewels.
Look at your
You're
jewels.
dripping in jewels.
Wow.
They're so fancy.
Y'all look beautiful. Oh, thank you. We literally just changed in the greenhouse,
Yep.
baby.
This is all you gotta do, really.
Hi, Alexa. What's up, Jessica? Friday Fritz, what is up? Cameron in the house.
Cameron.
Crystal cannot wait to see all these pictures. We have amazing pictures.
We do.
You know what they say, the closer the hair, the closer to God.
Okay, so that'll just give you a little bit of an idea of the insanity that these people have going on. They're selling an insane amount of hemp products apparently, and they're just a lot of fun. They're having fun. I think it's crazy myself, but I find it interesting, and there are some things that they've learned that I think can apply to all of us. And one of the big things is this streaming to all platforms at the same time. Now, in their case, my understanding is they have a live show every Thursday night at 6:30 Eastern. And then they have some version, I can't quite understand what the difference is, but on Friday morning, they have a little bit more of a kind of a technical how-to live stream, like how do you take hemp or whatever. They have little, it's a different thing. There's usually a guest speaker, some kind of professional in the hemp field, a couple times that I've watched it. So to my knowledge, that's the only two live things that they do. So it's an hour on Thursday nights, and I think it's an hour on Friday morning sometime. And who knows, they may do more than that. I haven't spent a tremendous amount of time, but a lot of lessons there, I think, in terms of multi-streaming and also being very authentic and transparent, I guess is the best way to put it. And I find it compelling. And the fact is, I think we talked about this before. They had something like 800,000 followers on TikTok or some crazy number. Just a lot of people watching this thing. So I'll kind of throw it open to any comments or reactions that anyone has to what we've gone over today. Anybody?
I'm definitely interested in the StreamYard and doing it across several platforms at one time. I just got to wrap my mind around it. I've heard of StreamYard before because I followed a girl who did subscription boxes, and she was into Clavio, and she did StreamYard. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the whole thing, because for me, I really, just like that girl said, which was really good, I want to talk about my spices, but since I have the bakery and I love to cook, I would love to, throw in a lot of different videos, not just promoting the spices.
Yep.
Yes, promote the spices, but I can give more tips baking than I can with the spices, really. So just kind of throwing it in there and mixing it up I'm just still trying to ramp myself up for doing it.
Let me react to that, because you're exactly on point. This is exactly where I'm trying to go. And everyone has a different way of communicating. That cosmetologist, the first interview that we saw, that's what she was saying, right? She goes, I don't just do hair, I do nails or whatever. She has all these different things. There is a product or service called Switcher Studio, which we looked at last week,
right?
Which is a competitor with StreamYard. And in my initial look at it, I have not gotten into what the costs are. I think they're probably competitive, but Switcher Studio actually looks a lot easier for a sole person trying to run it, because what they do is they give you this app view, and you really need to use an iPad, in my opinion, for it to work right. It does not work with computer. It only works with iOS devices. But this iPad view gives you like this control panel. So what you can do, for example, is you can change the camera view just by clicking a square on the panel. So if you've got 2 or 3 cameras set up, you can switch the view. The other thing that it really integrates is using recorded stuff in your live stream. Again, all you do is click on a box and your pre-recorded video will play. And you can also play it on a split screen. So there's a lot of functionality there. And it's really oriented to what we're talking about, this bigger view of yourself and your operation and the different things you might want to do. So my initial take is Switcher Studio is much further along, allowing a kind of a sole practitioner to do all these things. And the ability to integrate the pre-recorded so that it's just as easy as going live, I think is a really big deal. The other thing that, if you remember from last week when we watched that woman who makes cakes in the UK, the Switcher Studio has the ability to, if you get the right apparatus, you can have a camera shooting straight down on a tabletop as you make something, for example. So she was showing decorating her cake, and it was an overhead view, and she was also live at the same time. So you can switch really easily between them. Yeah, that's yeah.
From iPad, I can switch the cameras to say, okay, I'm gonna use this
Exactly.
one.
And you also can bring in, pre-recorded content, you can bring in a guest host. It has all kinds of functionality all in one simple point and click kind of interface. That's my reaction at this point. I have not delved in. StreamYard doesn't seem to be oriented to that. StreamYard seems to be more about getting whatever content you're using out in a lot of places. That seems to be their thing. I think they stream maybe to more destinations. I don't know 100%. Maybe Branson can get a chance to look at this and advise us a little bit, but out there somewhere is a solution that will work for you. And you know, the video that we just saw of Appalachian Standard, I truly believe they've got like 10 iPhones in front of them, and they just log into all the different accounts at one time. And it's insanity, right? It's just like all at the same time overhand. So, you know, seems to work. I'm not quite sure how you deal with lag, for example, where one service might be a little bit slower than another and the words are behind, you know what I mean? Or I don't know how all that works, but Switcher Studio seems to solve that in many respects, at least from what I've seen so far. And particularly for a sole operator who does want to incorporate the different camera views. And I think the pre-recorded content, if you remember what that cosmetologist woman was saying, she started off only doing pre-recorded stuff, right? She was bashful and didn't want to do live. So obviously StreamYard has that functionality. I just haven't figured it out. But I know the Switcher Studio is really big on that. And the ability to kind of go between pre-recorded and live with some kind of syncing and some kind of, you know, sensible organization, to me is very valuable than just kind of random pushing buttons and having stuff kind of going all at the same time. I could easily see getting overwhelmed, you know, especially if you're trying to do all the stuff yourself. But if it's as simple as, you know, sitting there and talking like you would anyway, even if it's just one destination, but it happens to be going to a bunch, and you can control, you know, kind of the angle, and particularly if you're cooking or preparing something like that, and you want to have that overhead view that a lot of cooking shows do, then I think Switcher Studio is probably your player. At least that's my reaction at this point.
Okay, I'll look at those.
Yeah.
How about for Canva? So I do use Canva.
Yeah.
Can I do that back screen with Canva? I'm assuming.
They claim, she said that she uses that woman, and you could probably go to her site that was a Sin Candy or yeah. You probably go to her site and see how it looks. Go ahead, Branson.
You can use Canva. What you need to do is go to the templates.
Okay.
And when you go to the templates, it's going to have a thing with video.
Uh-huh.
And it's two ways you can do it. You can, I think it's 1900 by 1440, or you can just get the template. And then the template has a lot of different things, and you can basically change out the words and it will save it. I think it's in a 3 or 5 second interval, and then you can move it and make it longer. But just look up there and find the section for video, and then you'll find a template. And then you can even put in video background, and it'll give you templates that are video background on Canva.
Okay.
And I know that Switcher Studio also provides all that. They have a button you push to add lower thirds, right? And you can create all that stuff in advance, maybe using Canva, I'm not sure. But you can push a button and that will appear. Like, I don't know if you remember last week, but the host had their name and their company, and then the cake lady had her name and her cake company. It was on split screen. All that's done in Switcher Studio by clicking a button. So that's also something to be aware of. But I think, like in Branson's case, he's very adept at Photoshop and Canva and variety. So it just depends on you and your background and what you're comfortable doing. But I think the point is it's available and there are ways to do it without getting too much into the weeds of the technology, which is I'm always concerned with you all that have, just one or two people doing everything. It's awful, it's hard to ask you to become, broadcast experts as well. It's just, it's a little much. So I try to find ways to do it at scale by yourself. Go ahead, Branson.
And there's another service called Restream. It's called Restream.
Yep.
If you're one by yourself, Restream might work well for you. So it basically, you do one stream and it restreams it throughout the network of streaming services.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them too. So I don't really have a sense of what it's like to live with these people, these different companies. I know the Switcher Studio has been around a long time. I do know that, and maybe these other guys too. I just don't know. One of the things, I believe this is correct. I may be wrong. I believe Switcher Studio also will broadcast to Zoom, which is, I think, one of the features that maybe none of the others have. And the only advantage of that from your all's perspective, if it is an advantage, it may not be, is this ability to go one-on-one with somebody. If you're a teacher or you're teaching something on a one-to-one basis, that might be something you'd want to do so that person, clicks on a Zoom link and opens up the one-on-one session. And I know that Zoom also has the ability to add a payment module. So if you're doing one-on-one, you can actually have that person pay you through Zoom. So I don't want to get into that too much, but these are all considerations depending on what you're trying to do.
I had a quick response really quickly. She was just talking about bacon and the spices. So one of the things that I figured out is, and somebody said it in one of the videos, what you may really, really like, you'll find out that perhaps your audience, that's not the thing that they really like. And so one of the advantages of streaming on multiple platforms, like for me, Facebook is my jam. Like most of my people who follow me, they're on Facebook. However, I do recognize I have an audience on YouTube or on Instagram as well. So sometimes if you're streaming to different platforms and you're talking about bacon, the people who watch you on Facebook, they may not want to hear that, but the people on Instagram, they'll want to hear it and they'll start following you because at some point you're going to talk about bacon. And then when you talk about your spices, maybe your Facebook people want to hear spices, but you give them the option from the different platforms. And then when they see your notification of live, that's up to them to kind of click in and say, oh, let me see if she's talking about bacon or spices today. And if you have a method to the madness, so every Tuesday I do this thing on called Tip Tuesday, where I talk about just health, whatever the health condition or month is. Like this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's Minority Health Month. It is Nurses Week. So every Tuesday out of the month, I always talk about something health related. So the people who tune in on Tuesday, they know that's what they're gonna get. When I go live any other time, it could be I'm out running this morning, I posted that. It could be I'm doing something else. So if you're consistent and those people who want to follow you, they'll know where you are to get what it is you want to hear, but you're still providing on each of the platforms.
Yeah, that's I think what that woman said exactly was she got away from how many, likes she had or how many subscribers, all that stuff, and started focusing on doing what she felt, she wanted to deliver, and she found her audience in a variety of ways. So that's really good advice. And really, I think, the other thing I think for all of you to kind of keep in mind is, it's going to take a little time to figure this out. If some of you think back to when we did Shop Rural Day last November, one of the reasons we wanted to do it is because we perceived that there were a lot of people on Pop Shop Live. We were hoping that a lot of those people would buy stuff from our group. And some people did have that experience. They did sell a lot on Pop Shop Live. Others hardly sold anything. And it's not necessarily reflective of you or your product. It's reflective of the audience. And, you know, the Pop Shop Live in the one example, that's all about them. They are building a business. They're building their own audience, and they're looking for people who want to sell on that platform. But that's not necessarily the be all and end all. That was a good place to start. We learned a lot. But realistically, what this is about is building your own platform and your own, what we've talked about, first party data. And that's what this is. This is developing your own customer base and figuring out where you fit and what works for you. So, all right, anyone else want to chime in at this point? Okay. Well, thank you all for coming today, and we'll pick up. We got some more on this tomorrow. So hopefully you can join us. And let me just real quick check this chat. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you guys think about it, send your logo to Grant and a 1 or 2 pages so we can update our website. I think we're maybe a class or 2 behind on the website, which, you know, no big deal, but I'd rather have your all's, you know, the current classes stuff up there. So if you think about that, can send it to Grant. That would be great. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming today. See you tomorrow.